Greetings, code traders. It is Tuesday, January 29th, 2019. Hope all of you did really well yesterday on Monday with code 3. It's working very, very well. Code 3 is also working good today so far, and I should work really good as we go along. So I am going to start trading here using the code 3 on CL, on oil. And when I have taken an entry, I'll come back. By the way, I do have some quick news I'll let you know about. I was successful at discovering that there is, or confirming that there is a code 2 to all of the other instruments as well, not just oil. So with that revelation, what we can do now then is track the code 2 and use a code 3 entry into the code 2 trade, which means you'll only have to take one trade, and you'll be able to mathematically figure out how many ticks you can go for. This is good for the ES, for the YM, NQ, RTY, CL. I'm going to track all of those. And anything hot that comes around, I'll also track. Like for instance, let's say gold gets really hot again. I would certainly bring it online and track it. But everything has a code 2. Just like oil does. This is a relatively large revelation, and it's going to make it a lot easier for all of us. Basically, all we're going to need to do now is take one trade per day and use a code 3 entry and be able to just take one trade and not lose, and know how much to go for. If it's 40 ticks, 50 ticks, 70 ticks, 80 ticks, 100 ticks, whatever it is, you'll basically know how much to go for, because we chart it, track it, and it'll remain the same as it goes along. It may change over time, but as we go along it remains the same, relatively speaking. So it works. The charting, the tracking, all of it works. I'll be offering this sometime in the near future. And I'm going to track it for all the instruments and do multiple different other things too. The chart is going to become really, really valuable. Okay, I'll be right back. Going to take an entry. And this new technique is going to work the best. This is going to be the best way to trade. Because right now, if you had one thing about code 3 that you don't like, what would it be? Well, for me, personally, what I really don't like about it is that it takes so much time to watch the screens for so long, and also to track it for a long period of time. This sounds easy when you talk about it, but when you actually go to do it, it's a lot more difficult. It just gets monotonous, gets tiring, and for me personally, it hurts my eyes to watch the screens for so long. So my eyes, I get like a headache, and I just, feel so good because I watch it for too long. So that's one thing I don't like about the code 3. Another thing about the code 3 that I don't particularly, I'm sure nobody loves, is that you do have a tendency to get some reversals right basically after you get in. And this leads to losses if you don't handle it properly. For instance, see, here's the thing. If you know code 1, you can see it going the other way with the code 1. So you could just say, oh, code 1 short entry. Okay, and you were long. Okay, I'll just get out right here then, because code 1 says it's going to go short. That sort of thing. You could easily protect yourself. Whereas, for instance, it might say code 1 long entry, and you're already long. You say, okay, I'll just hold it. And it just keeps on going. So you can use the other codes and benefit with the code 3. But if you didn't know those codes, didn't know code 1, you wouldn't know what to do, and it can go the other way, and it can be a loss. This is a problem. Code 3 still works really good, and you still come out way ahead, but still, you can come up with these losses. Now, especially if you were to trade into a market that was really choppy and not going anywhere, which the market has been choppy the last, this whole year, except for a few days, and it's opening up now. Well, actually, let's go take a look here. Go to the daily. usually it's not been that bad. It was pretty good in the beginning, right? And then it got choppy right around what, after the ninth. So on the 10th, 11th, 12th, the rest of the time, it got really choppy. And it's been choppy still. And as you can see, even though we broke out right there, which I called, we haven't gone anywhere. We're still in a range right now. We need to break out one way or another. Either break this high or break this low and come out of this range and start going in a direction. Either we go up or we go down. And when it does that, it's going to start really moving again. Now it just may move for a while and then go sideways again. So what you have to learn to do as a trader is you have to realize, okay, I've taken a long position, got a code 3 long entry. I got a little late into the entry there. Wasn't watching like I should have. And anyway, code 3 long entry, and I'll be back. Okay, it's beginning to move up here a bit, and just going to hold this one. But also I will follow the code 3 as well. I suspect that the code 3 is just going to keep giving long entries, at least for a bit. We have this is the daily right here. As you can see, it looks good. It's good, looks good. It's just moving up right here. There's a relatively good chance that it will go and break this high over here and move up. Well, I shouldn't say a relatively good chance. There's a decent chance that that will happen. It's going up good right now. If it continues to go up, then it will do it. There's even a possibility it could get hot and go up and shoot higher than this one here. But I don't need to wish for too much, but it's definitely looking very good. There's the 10-minute. It could just be getting started here. There's the daily. So, looks pretty good. Got a code 3 long. If we get another one, should just keep continuing higher. And by the way, for those of you that know the code 2, it's not just for oil. So here's the thing though, each of them are different. So that each one of them has to be tracked individually. But they are relatively the same though. And which is interesting, you know, but anyway, so what you can do is you can easily just take you could take two of them if you wanted, or just choose whichever one you want to take. Like for instance, for a lot of people just starting off, the ES would be best, but it has to be tracked. See, I have no idea right now how many ticks it's good for right now. We have to track it every day, and then we'll know what it's good for. Even for oil, I don't really know what it's good for right now because I'm not tracking it. But I know historically what it's been good for, and I can, you know, take a really good guess on what it's good for. But I don't know exactly mathematically because I'm not tracking it. But I am going to start tracking it again for all the instruments. And unlike trading 2 of them for code 3 all the time, which is too much work, you can easily do 2 of them with code 2, because that's not hard to do. What you want to do is do 2 opposing ones, not do ones that are the same. That way you could make even more ticks in theory. But and that's another thing. We'll know which ones are going in different directions. Like for instance, right now the ES is going down, the YM is going up, the RTY is going down, oil is going up. So they are going in different directions. See, they are, sometimes they go in the same direction because they're using relatively the same code 2. Then they switch and use a different code 2. Then they start going in different directions. I shouldn't say, well, they are using a different code 2, and as such, and even if they were using the same, they can still go in different directions. Just depends on which way they break. And then you know if it's a short or long. And so, see, it's all very simple. The codes are relatively simple. It just does take some learning and some practicing. but then you have an incredible trading system on which to use in order to profit from. And the charting that I'm going to do will be very valuable, very, very valuable. I'm going to make it really, really valuable for all of you so that when you do sign up for it, you really think to yourself that, hey, you really, you've got like it all sitting right there in front of you. And everything, analyze what everything is doing, how everything is currently working. Because as the codes show, everything changes over time. Like for instance, and it repeats itself. It keeps repeating itself, but it changes. And the good thing about it, though, is that as it's changing, that pattern keeps repeating itself for a while until it changes again, and then repeats itself for a while, and then changes again, repeats itself for a while. So what we can do with the tracking of it is see when it changed, what it's changed to, and then now use that, go with that change, and start trading that way. Okay, I am back again. The recording went down. I had to save it and now I'm recording again, so I'll have to put the two recordings together. I don't know why that's happening. Anyway, this should be a fairly easy trade today. I think it's just going to continue to go up here and make it an easy day. And possibly break this high, possibly even break this high. So, and then if you look at it on the bigger picture here, it just means that we're going to go and break out of the range. That's all. And start to move again. Move down, move up, but move, not go sideways in a choppy range. You really don't want to trade code 3 when it's going sideways in a choppy range. Even code 2 doesn't really work very good at all in a tight, choppy market like that. The only thing that you could use is code 1, and even then it's not worth very much either. There's not really much to get out of a tight, choppy market. But when it starts to move, it starts to open up, especially when it makes these big moves, it's, very, 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 very good to trade during that time. And use the code 3. But if you're like me and you want to make it just easy on yourself and not have to sit there and look at the computer all day long or for like, so many hours, you can just do code 2, use a code 3 entry into a code 2 trade and be done in anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. Usually on average, I would say you'd be done in about within 2 hours. Sometimes, many times, just 1 hour. It just depends. It just depends on the market and whatever. But anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours would be about the range. Sometimes it can take longer than that. It just depends on the market. But here's the thing, though. You don't have to keep calculating the code. You don't have to keep doing it. You have to track the code. You don't have to do that. Once you've taken the code 3 entry, that's it. You just set the exit and that's it. You leave the code 3 stop in place, and then what you can do at a certain level, you could place a break-even stop. So let's say that you're supposed to be going for, let's just say it's tight and it's not moving that much and you're only supposed to go for 60 ticks. Or let's just say 50 ticks. I would put a break-even stop on it once it gets like 30 ticks ahead, and then put a break-even stop on it. If it's supposed to move 100 ticks, I wouldn't put a break-even stop on it until it's gotten at least 50 ticks, and put a break-even stop. So, it just depends on how much you're supposed to be going for. And even then, you do have to realize that that break-even stop will get burned. A certain percentage of the time. I don't know what it would be, but it would be relatively high. I really don't know. I'd have to take a guess at it, but I would say 20% of the time you'd get hit. So You have to take that into account. But anyway, let's take a look at the 10-minute here. Like I said, it could very well just be getting started. Or what will happen is it'll roll over right here and then come back down, come all the way back down and come break this low. And then on the daily, it would turn into a red bar. Once it came down and broke that low down there, it would start to go red. That is, of course, a possibility. It doesn't look like it's going to do that right now, though, at all. Looks like it's going to make a move up. We have code 3 long. Do we have another one? No, we do not have another one yet. But we may be getting one here. We get another code 3 long entry, and it's just all you do is hold it. And you know, I know it's easier said than done to trade without emotions, but you really need to try to do that the best you can. Practice it. Because if you don't, you will just beat yourself up. You'll beat yourself in your trading. But I think with the use of a code 3 entry into a code 2 trade, now that we know that they're all trading by code 2, and we could target whatever we think is hot at the time, or whatever we measure is hot at the time, whether that be the Dow, or for some reason it's the NASDAQ. You know, if the tech stocks get hot and they start to run, NASDAQ will get hot, right? If the Dow gets really hot for some reason, or maybe it doesn't get hot, maybe it gets like really cold and it starts really dropping hard. Well, the YM, you'll be able to hit that really big with the YM. Or let's say for some reason, you know, for whatever the reason, the Russell 2000 gets really hot. You know, jump all over that. Let's say gold gets really hot. We'll jump all over that and use the code 3 on everything. Use the code 3 entry into the code 2 trade, because that's all you need. You just need that one trade per day. You don't need anything more than that. You don't need to make your life any harder than it already is. Trade for 2 hours a day, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, be done. Don't need anything more than that. Now, if you need to trade the European session because you can't trade the USA session, well, that's fine. You can just use the code 3, but you do want to make sure that the market is moving. Like for instance, you know, when it's coming out of Sunday, and it's still basically Sunday in the USA, but Monday, like in Europe, for instance, or here in Asia, you know, you got to realize that it's like Sunday night at, like, you know, 11 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 a.m. in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and you're trading an American market that was just closed for 2 days, and now it's just barely opened up. It's like on life support. It's not doing anything at all. And it's because everybody's sleeping and the market's not open. If you try to trade the code 3 at that time, you know, try to trade any of the codes at that time, it's just simply not going to work because it's not doing anything. Unless for some reason it was hot, it was moving for some reason. There was news or whatever. It gapped up, gapped down, whatever. Some reason it's moving for some reason. It is going up and down. Then by all means you can use the code and trade it. But if it's just sitting there doing nothing, it's not just going to miraculously start doing something because the code 3 signal gave it a signal. You know, it just means that it's going to move down a little tiny bit and then move back up again a little tiny bit and then move back down again a little tiny bit. It's just going to keep doing that, not go anywhere, as it, you know, had been doing. So you have to wait until Monday opens up and the market opens up. Then it starts to move. And let's say it moves that day. Let's say it moves on Monday. Then that following night, a continuation of a move, like a move during the Asian session, and then another move during the European session, and then another move at the USA session. It gets the ball rolling. So you have to wait. That's one mistake some people have been making. Another mistake is For instance, when you're out here in Asia, where I am, you never hear about any of the holidays that are happening in the United States. You don't hear about Memorial Day, Thanksgiving, nothing. I mean, except for maybe Christmas and New Year's. That's about it. And everything else, 4th of July, all of that, is you just don't hear anything about it. So a lot of traders out there are trading on those days, not realizing that they're holidays and that it's not going to go anywhere or do anything. Like, for instance, one guy tried to trade even on Christmas Day. He didn't realize it was Christmas Day. And, things like that you have to watch out for. Or like the news day, like let's say you're trading oil and you'll realize it's Wednesday and the news is going to come out. Well, a lot of the times it'll just go dead before the news comes out because it's just waiting for the news to come out, like to give it a direction. Should we all buy? Should we all sell? What should we do? Everybody's waiting on the news, and the news comes out and then it starts to move. So you really want to wait until the news comes out first, then you start trading it. But see, if you didn't know that and you started trading it before, you wonder why it's not working. What's going on? Well, you have to realize it's not even moving. That's why. Okay, it's continuing to move up here. I'm just going to keep a 100-tick exit on it. 5404. And make it an easy day here. It's just going to, let's see here. It's going to go up higher than that. The top of that bar is 53.94. I think that's good. That's good. 100 ticks right up there. Yeah. I mean, it could take off and keep going and go and break above here, so I could go for more. Let me think about it for a second. Well, it just depends. If I go for the 100 ticks, the math on it is pretty high right now. I'm going to hit it. If I go for more, the math is going to be reduced. See, I'm not tracking the code 2 right now, and so I don't really know what it's good for. But this one's probably going to be good for more anyway. It's getting ready to break this high up here. This one bar. It's almost there. It's double topping up there now. Anyway, we had gotten another code 3 long entry, so it's poised to continue to go up here.